Yo, what's going on, guys? So, I mean, I said I was gonna make more videos. Actually, I just realized this is kind of like messed up out of frame. Let me fix this really quick. So I said I was gonna make more videos talking about Next Swipe as we found out more information, and I'm not sure how much of you guys watched like the devcast or whatever. I guess what did actually? Well, no, I guess I did talk about it on. I forgot I released a video talking about it. Huh. Oh yeah, I did do that. I honestly completely forgot. But I released a video talking about it and just talking about the things they went over, and I didn't really go into too many specifics. I just kind of like said like, like here's everything that went over, here's the things that are confirmed, and like a little couple speculations along with that. But what I'm going to talk about now is partially I want to talk about PvE mode, and then on the other hand, maybe like a couple other things that might appear later. Maybe I forget them. Maybe I don't mention them. I don't know. It kind of depends if I got, I got to make a 10-minute video at least. It depends how long I go talking about PvE mode. So, just to start off with, and I don't like, I'll say like, I don't have any real goal in mind with what I'm talking about here. It's just kind of like, I felt like waffling, really. But anyways, so what we know so far about PvE mode is that it's going to be basically like the normal dungeons, right? Like, there's people in them and everything like that. The only difference is that there will be no PvP enabled, and you won't have collision with other players, right? That's the big thing. However, the actual like loot of the dungeon is going to be lowered. It's only going to be up to like epic quality. And I don't know if I mentioned like an HR PvE mode in my last thing, but I don't know. Like I swear I heard that, but maybe I'm just like an idiot, right? Maybe they never said anything about an HR PvE mode, and I'm just being crazy. But the real thing I want to talk about here is just like what does PvE mode mean for the game, really, right? Because that's the big thing. It's like one, I mean, it is what it is, but like, what does it mean for the game? And going forward, because it's like really, it's not even just like a PvE mode thing. PvE is like one of the things I want to talk about, but the main reason like I'm bringing this up is I feel like Dark and Darker is at a very interesting point, right? The game is incredibly niche, for as starters, right? And with that being said, it's really the only one of its kind. Yes, there have been several imitators out there. Think Greed is Good, Dungeonborn. I guess the most recent. I mean, well, I guess there's, there's several, but those are the two ones, right? Obviously, Greed, and both of them are dead now. If you don't know, both of them like discontinued shortly after release for various reasons. Greed is Good was basically like a money grab, I think, and like Dungeonborn. Well, I think Dungeonborn was actually pretty fun, and Dungeonborn could have been pretty good. The devs just kind of stopped updating it. Also, there were like several other issues, like performance and everything, which is the reason I stopped playing it. However, but that's we're not here to talk about the other games, right? We're here to talk about Dark and Darker. So I feel like Dark and Darker is at an interesting point. Um, you know, recently I think their court case ended. Obviously, I'm not going to go into super specifics on that. I'm just going to talk about the things I say that I think I know. But their court case ended not too long ago, and the result ended up being it was kind of like a partial win where they keep Dark and Darker stays up, but they have to pay Nexon X amount of money. And like I said, I'm not going to go into specifics here, just because I think the whole like thing is like stupid. And if you want to see the specifics, you can go look up a video of somebody talking about it that understands it better than me and has all the facts. But basically, like that, so that stuff's kind of like blown over for the most part. I believe they're still paying them money, but as far as being in court actively and defending themselves, I don't think that's going on anymore. For a very very long time, that was the main like excuse they used, as for whatever or whatever, as like why they either didn't communicate with their players, or why updates took forever, or why just things weren't that good in general, right? So that's off the table now. Not the case anymore. Like I said, as far as I'm aware, that is like no longer an issue for the studio. Um, because for anyone wondering, they like in terms of the money they had to pay, it is a lot less than what they actually have made for this game. I think at a rough estimate, I was talking about on stream anytime yesterday, they made probably just off of game sales alone, they probably made like 20 million. And then that's not counting people that buy like the legend or the legendary edition or redstone shards or all that type of stuff, right? So I'm assuming it's definitely more than that. And they didn't have to pay $20 million, right? Like that's just they didn't. And I'm sure they still have income. They have skins that come out. People definitely buy them. The skins are good. So I'm sure they're definitely still making more money. So it's not like the company's broke. But anyways, why am I talking about all this? So, oh yeah, actually, wait, watch this clip. I actually really like this clip. I think this clip is pretty funny. Don't watch the beginning of it though, because I missed like three swings on this fighter. Oh no, wait, 1 second. I missed like so like literally it's three fighters. This guy bumps into me, and like I just like paint like okay, yeah, and then I like that was really bad, but it's okay because then we lock in. and then we like piece these guys up. All right. Anyways, um, so why am I talking about all this, right? Well, like I said, for the longest time, the logic they used was the court case was why, or like the court stuff going on was why they couldn't like really be like they couldn't talk about too much about their game, and updates are kind of slow because like a lot of their most important people that worked there was busy like doing legal stuff, which is I think the logic behind Terrence and SDF and maybe I think one other person. They said like the big three there that worked on a lot of stuff with the game also did like a lot of stuff with the court case, so like they didn't have all of their time to be on the game. And like I said, now that's not the case anymore. So, where does that end up leaving us, right? Well, what I want to say basically is they need to do more for their game, right? Because the thing is, like, when you have a game that is a white based game, like Dark and Darker is, the big attraction is every season, you get a new reason to come back and play. Think Path of Exile, think Diablo, because those are the games you compare it to, or even like like Tarkov or something. Like the big reason you come back every wipe. Well, I guess not as much Tarkov. I mean, maybe it is. I actually don't know much about that game in terms of what they do each wipe. But is there something new that brings you back there? There's some big thing that's like, oh yeah, like I can't wait to go and try this out. They have like Path of like league mechanics. I know PoE 2, the new league just came out. Everybody hates it, but I know it just came out recently, and like that's a big thing that hypes you up, gets you excited, wants like brings you back to the game, and it markets itself basically. Which is one of the things I have issues with Dark and Darker is Dark and Darker they don't really market their game. I complained about this recently in the dev video I made of them saying like, oh well, half our content we're keeping a secret so you can figure it out for yourself. It's like okay, that's cool, right? Problem is like you should be telling people or like you should give the players something to be excited for. And I hate to say it, PvE mode probably isn't it. Like, yeah, I'm sure some people are going to be there, but there aren't people like, lining up down the street to be like, oh boy, I can't wait to play PvE mode on Wipe. That's just. The PvE in this game isn't exciting enough for that. Maybe if it were more fleshed out and, more fun, a little bit harder, maybe it would be, but they're not. I doubt PvE mode is going to be a big pull for a lot of players. So like what I'm talking about now isn't even necessarily for just this wipe. It's for this one and like the future ones because I think I would say pretty soon we're at that point where like I don't want to say like a point of no return because that sounds a little odd, but I think we're getting to a point of it's like gonna do like it's gonna do irreparable damage, right? Irreparable damage. I don't know why I said that weird. Um, and like for the player base, because like at some point people aren't gonna keep coming back to this game, right? And like obviously, like your diehard fans, they're probably always gonna be playing, but like the players that don't play that much, maybe they play at the start of the wipe, like they're not gonna keep coming back forever. Eventually, they will. You're like, not sorry, not eventually they will. Eventually, they will decide to stop coming back because they don't have a reason to. Or like, every time they did, they were disappointed. And I think this has already happened with a lot of players. A lot of streamers especially, because if you don't know, Dark and Darker has been streamed by a lot of really, really big names. Think like Soda Poppin', right? Like streamers that have multiple thousands of viewers, 10,000 plus viewers, have all played this game in the past, and they liked it. They thought it was fun. Summit played it as well, but I'm not sure if really Summit exactly enjoyed this game. But the problem is, why did they stop? Well, there wasn't much to do. And if you think about the game a year ago to now, what is new to actually do in the game? Yeah, there's more mobs, right? Yeah, and there's a new boss. I think there's new mini bosses in hell. But for the most part, a year ago and now, what did you do? You queued up, you went into ruins, you went into crypts, you went into inferno, you left. And you fought people and looted in the process. That was the game. And this is like what I was mentioning earlier is like and the excuse they used for this whole time was, oh well, we have this court case, we can't really spend all of our time and efforts on our game. And now, like, you mean obviously, we're suffering the consequences of it. If you check the player base or whatever time it is for you, wherever you're at, if you check the player base right now, like when I was on earlier, it was barely, almost 6,000. It was like 5,500, 5,600 or something. And yeah, we're at the end of the wipe. The game wipes in 4 days, which is, fair. However, like this, this wipe being 4 months long, like that's another product of that. Like it was never supposed to be. They told us a while ago that we would never have a 4 month wipe ever again. Here we are. This month, this wipe has been 4 months, which is shown to be a bad idea. Next wipe they've already mentioned is bare minimum 3 months, but if we go based off of what they said, which is a crazy thing to do, they've already said next wipe is going to be 4 months as well. Grayson said there would be 12 weeks of quests, which is 3 months, and then somebody's like, okay, so will quest lead all the way up to like the very last week of wipe? And he was like, oh, he's like, yeah, but like, or like maybe it ends like 2 to 3 weeks before. So if you were planning 12 weeks of quests that end 2 to 3 weeks before, bare minimum, this is a 3.5 month wipe, which is not good. Every wipe we have had that has been over 3 months, we have seen record low player numbers. Like I said, right now, less than 6,000. Before it came to Steam on multiclassing, I think we literally had sub 4,000 players at one point. Like it's been really bad. And I think in today's like gaming meta, which sounds so stupid to say, but I think in today's gaming meta, it's like you can't have your game be forgotten, right? Also, I just want to see like bro, like look how cancerous this game is that you're watching on the screen. These guys brought in 11 lads. But you can't have your game be forgotten, right? Like that is bad. When people forget your game, like it's over. Like they're always looking for something new. Like a lot of today is like you have like the Zoomer brain players that once something is like gone, it's gone forever. They'll like never see it again. Which is for better or worse, it's just how it is. So like you can't have your game wiping only a third of the year. That's just dumb. I mean, for one, completely ignoring that, like, you want to bring people back, you want people to come back and play your game as much as possible so they like it. It's dumb because the people that actually do like your game move on and play something else. This game does not have enough content for 4 months. This game doesn't have enough content for 3 months. Arguably, this game doesn't have enough content for 2 months. However, you can't make it too short because then your casual players get screwed. But anyways, if you have a 4 month wipe, by like 2.5 to 3 months in, most people are done. Most people have already done everything there is to do, and the only people left that are playing for the most part are people that hop on maybe once, every couple of days, or they're just the people that don't care anymore and they're just hardcore PvPing. Like they aren't looting, they're just going in, fighting, taking blues, leaving, repeat because they enjoy the PvP in the game. And that's generally like, I mean, if you've seen any wipe, that's exactly how it is in like almost all of these games. Well, I mean, that's how it is. That was how it is with this wipe. That's how it was last wipe. How it was the wipe before that. And I'm not saying like, oh, I should have stuff to do that, I should be looting 3 months into the wipe. No, that's stupid. I mean, that's realistically, that's never going to happen. However, I shouldn't be so bored of everything else in the game that my only action is I'm just going to PvP because nothing else is fun, right? Which is why I think Arena is so popular now. Like, keep in mind, we have like sub 6K players. That's with Arena out still. Tomorrow, Arena's going to be over. I think it ends somehow in like the next 10 hours maybe. But whenever Arena is over, genuinely you might see like 3K players in this game or arguably even less. But you are going to see nearly no one playing this game. And I mean, who could blame them? There's nothing left to do. Like even PvP, you can't get any right now. Like I've been wanting to stream, but the only thing I can stream is Arena because if you queue up at the dungeon, you queue up high roller, you will see no people. There will be literally none, like at all. Um, so yeah, but like back to my original point is like 4 month wipes cannot happen. The fact that they can't look at this and see it seems like relatively insane to me, considering all of your players can see it. And if nothing else, it's I think the wipes need to get shorter, not longer. Like time gating quest is not content, right? Like, oh, you made your quest harder. That's cool. Most players in this game don't enjoy your quests. For most players in this game, quests are a means to an end. It's something I do because I want craftables. Why, or I want the rewards. Why am I going to be doing quests the last week or, 3 weeks before the game wipes for craftable gear? I'm not because I don't care at that point. Because nothing I can craft is going to be I'm going to need. I'm going to have everything I need by then. Even if you give uniques for rewards at the end of the wipe, why do I care? Like I could have gotten those 100 times over. I mean, especially with boosted rates before then. Like I don't have a need for them anymore. And if this were like early on, like a month into the wipe, yeah, that's a pretty fucking big deal. But it's not, right? It's at the very end. And so what I'm trying to say here is I feel like they don't understand like the importance of their player base and like Not like how bad things are, but like where they're at. I feel like they have the time to like they're thinking like, okay, we have the time, we can just kind of like sit back and chill, like everything's fine, like we're working now, things are coming out a little bit faster, but it's like I don't think that's good. For example, the water map. For all of those who don't know, the water map is not coming until next wipe. Not next wipe, like not the one in 4 days. Next wipe, the one after that, which they've said, or based on what they said, is 4 months away. So it is going to have been what almost, or actually, I guess at this point, what a year since the last map, since Ice Caves, right? And yeah, in the meantime, they've like randomized stuff. Like you've randomized some of the modules. You've added Fog of War, stuff like that, right? So you've done some things. However, I mean, and obviously, I'm not gonna like try to like speak like I'm a game dev or I know all that went into it. But as far as I'm aware, all that really did was just making sure each module had like a layout that was accessible to others. AKA, you like how Arena has doors on all sides now. You did that to every room. So wherever the room generated, it could have doors that you could lead into other areas, and you wouldn't get stuck, right? Like that. That's pretty much what they had to do. With that being said, it's like I don't think that I mean, like I said, once again, I'm not a game dev. I don't know. I'm just waffling here, and which I do. I don't think that takes a year's worth of time between that and developing another map. And if you want to tell me, like, okay, well, maybe they weren't developing the map the entire time, I will counter with why, right? They've said they've expanded their team. They've said they have a team of like 50 people. This is another issue that I want to mention. That they've like said several times before. They only have like one guy doing monsters. They have one monster guy. Also, I'm gonna fast forward this part because this part is literally boring. Like the ranger runs away at 1 HP for 20 minutes. Oh, there we go. But they've said they only have one guy doing monsters, which is why releasing new mobs takes so long. Which is why we're getting our first set of new mobs in like a year, in this next upcoming patch. And like keep in mind, by the way, their mobs like it's not even like they're designing them from the ground up. I'm pretty sure every mob they've gotten, they just buy the model from like the Unreal marketplace or whatever, and they have to like adjust it to fit their game. Which I don't know how hard that is, but that's what they do. Like I said, it's not like this guy is making them from the ground up. So one, or what I'm kind of leading into is I feel like historically Iron Mace, what they've done is they don't make effective use of their time, which sounds stupid from someone that doesn't work there, has no idea what he's talking about. But let me just like give you an example of this, right? Quiver. If you're a Ranger player, I'm sure you're like, ah, yeah. If you're an older player, you're also like, ah, yeah. They have promised Quiver for, I kid you not, since the playtest days. Since before they even had ammo, they promised Quiver was being added. Right? Like, that's not even a joke. Way back when Rangers, they didn't have to reload, they had infinite ammo, and they were talking about a Quiver getting added even back then. It has been 2 years since then now, since back during playtest, it's been easily 2 years, probably closer to 3 at this point, and we still don't have a Quiver. Back when they didn't have to care about ammo, that wasn't a problem. Wasn't an issue. Don't need a Quiver, you have infinite ammo. You don't have to store arrows. Now, you have to store arrows, and it's a problem. Because, for one, let's just establish a couple things, right? Rangers don't run out of arrows in this game. I don't know about you guys, but I can't say I've ever run into a Ranger and fought him where he ran out of arrows and I was thinking, oh yeah, I gotta run this guy out of arrows and then we win, right? I don't think that's ever happened. Literally ever. Like that's not an issue. Even survival bow rangers who shoot way more. Like let's not even talk about the fact like longbow rangers. Like a longbow ranger bringing in 100 arrows, he's never gonna shoot that many. Literally ever. And I lost my train of thought because I focused on the gameplay for a second. Um, but okay, so like they never run out of arrows, and I don't think that's necessarily an issue. Maybe somebody out there cares about the logistics of it, or they think like, oh, that's stupid. I wish they had to care more about the arrows. They shouldn't just shoot nonstop. I don't really care, right? It's like it's a quality of life thing. Like, yeah, it's not realistic. Who cares? If you have to sit there and care about shooting every single arrow, it'd be annoying. It wouldn't be fun for people playing Ranger. It would be like adding a durability system for your weapons. Like, do you really want to have to manage your durability in the dungeon because you're worried your weapon's gonna break and become unusable? Like, no, you don't, bro. Like, you really don't. But anyways, back to my point of the Quiver. They've been saying we're gonna get Quiver forever. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a big the longest downtime they've ever had. It was like a 24-hour downtime. Because what happened was they were doing inventory refactoring, I believe, or they were refactoring their inventory system, whatever that means. I don't actually know. On TLDR, what happened was they broke it. They were doing this in the process of trying to get things like backpacks and quivers ready, and they broke it. They messed up. There's no easy way to say it. They just messed up. The game was down for literally like 24 hours, uh, and it was bad. A lot of people were pissed off. It was really really bad. But what they had to do was they had to revert the game to its previous state, and they had to like toss that away and work on it longer. And that's been like 6 7 months ago. And the point I'm making here is once again that was another delay to Quiver. By the way, I think it was before this wipe, they said Quiver was not coming this wipe we're currently in. It was coming this upcoming wipe along with things like fishing. Also, look at that rogue. Hold that. Easy. It was coming this upcoming wipe with things like fishing. We have not heard anything about Quiver for a while now, so I think it's very fair to assume it's not coming out. And why am I sitting here waffling about Quiver for 4 minutes? When I said, they're not using their time effectively, like, why is Quiver an effective use of time? It's not. However, if you look, oh, almost threw my mouse. 1 second. Let me back this up really quick. Let me pull up my inventory, please. Thank you. Thank you. So, you guys see on the screen right now, I have 15 bolts in my inventory, right? I have 4 stacks of 15 bolts. Well, 1 stack of 12, but 3 stacks of 15 bolts. So, Quiver's not out. You can't do it because of spaghetti code purposes. I get that. I do. So do you know what you do in the meantime to make the game way more bearable for full players? Do you know what you do in the meantime to make the game way more bearable for players? You go to this right here, you go to these stacks of bolts, and you go to these stacks of arrows, and this number that's capped right here at 15, where they hold 15, you change this to 100. You change it to 20, you change it to 50. Change it to something higher. Because the Quiver not being in the game, it's your fault, Iron Mace. Not the player's fault. So why should the players, rangers, bards, fighters, rogues, whatever, have to suffer because of your, I don't know, lack of skill in developing your game? They shouldn't. It's stupid. However, for literally, like I said, 3 years now almost at this point, players have had to suffer because Iron Mace won't do the easiest fix in the game to a problem that they've been trying to solve forever. It's like I said, I get it. I do. If you can't put the Quiver in the game right now, that's fine. However, fix this. Just make the stacks larger, which is why I mentioned earlier. Who cares if Rangers bring in 500 arrows, man? I don't. And if you care, then that's just like a weird problem. Like, they're never running out of arrows. Like, if I said, if a ranger brings in 100 arrows, he's never going to run out. Do you know what happens? Like, do you know when they run out? It's when they have to stop and drop all of their arrows to pick up stuff off the ground, which isn't the thing, Because if you had a quiver, that wouldn't be a problem anyways. So just increasing the stack limit of arrows and bolts and everything would just fix the problem for them. It's not a fix, it's a temporary fix until you actually add the quiver into the game. However, why won't they do it? I don't know. I don't. I don't think there's any issue out there. Like, you're telling me if their code is so bad that it breaks when they increase the stack of arrows from 15 or 20 to 100. I don't know if I believe you, but I honestly, like, at this point, I'm really not sure if there's any other, like, I'm not sure why. Like, I don't know why they won't do it. I don't think anyone does. But for the longest time, like, this has just been a problem that's been in the game that they will not fix, and I don't understand it. And I've tried to. I've tried to understand it, but I can't. But anyways, it's like it's issues like this, or it's things like where they add something no one cares about. Ice map. No one wanted the ice map. This shit is terrible. I hate this map. I think a lot of people hate this map. The only saving grace on it is the Wyvern. And even then, the Wyvern's kinda shit. Let's just be honest, right? I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like, oh, I love fighting the Wyvern. Yeah, you play Warlock, buddy, we know. But for the most part, this map is pretty terrible. And one of the big things about it was this map was added as a trios map. It was like, oh, this is going to be the next trios map. And oh, also look at this fighter. Hold that. Easy. But it was like supposed to be added as a trios map. I mean, that doesn't even matter anymore because like the whole logic of like anybody can play anything, yada yada yada. But this map just doesn't need to exist. Another thing, look at how many times they've redone Goblin Caves. They did the 3x3, then they did the 5x5, then they went back to 3x3, then they went back to 5x5. Like all of these things that just never should have like been like needed to be done. I think it's just taking time and resources away of what from like should actually like they need to do. Because like if you guys have a small team, I get it. But when you have a small team and you don't have that many people working, do you know what that means? That means you have to make very very effective use of your time and resources, which I don't think Iron Mace has ever done. And why am I waffling about all this stuff that's happened in the past and the Quiver and everything? Well, because this brings me back to the point of I was talking about of the wipes. Like I said, it has been a 4 month wipe, and what do we have to look forward to at the beginning of next wipe? That we know of. We have PvE mode, which literally is just the normal game mode with loot turned down and PvP disabled, which is not some like if they want to tell me that that was hard and time consuming, I will not believe them in any capacity. I refuse to believe it was difficult for them to turn off PvP in the normal game mode. I just do not. I do not believe that at all. Right? Um, and then we have some new mobs coming. We have two confirmed, up to seven a total possibly, which is something that's good. That's a that W clap. No issues there. Seven new mobs. That's a shit ton of mobs. I mean, if you count non-mini bosses, there's probably like seven mob types total in Crypts. Let's think. What you have: skeleton swordsmen, skeleton shieldsmen, Zweihanders, axemen, crossbows, archers. Um, what else? Death skulls, zombies, uh, and dragonflies, I guess. And we're up to nine. Mages, which you don't count as elites, that's 10. And I'm trying to think. Is there anything else off the top of my head in Crypts? Uh, no. Like I said, not counting mini bosses. Maybe there's some other things. I don't know. But that's 10 mobs. Like, not counting mini bosses, that's 10 mobs. And they're about to add 7. That's a lot of mobs, especially to add at once. I don't think they've ever added this many at one time. Like I said, that's a ton of mobs they're going to be adding. That's a W. That's fantastic. New crafted items. It's okay. I think generally most of the crafted items, especially the weapons, are pretty useless because they're all purple rarity. And with the gemming system, which is another thing I haven't even talked about, the gemming system. But I think with the gemming system, purple weapons are kind of useless because it's so easy to get really good legendaries. And with self-found crafting, it'd be really good. Problem is, which I'm sure everybody else knows, by the time the 2 weeks of self-found are over, you're going to be able to craft like cobalt at best. You're not going to have gold, ruby, silver, frostlight. You're not going to have any of the good weapons. You're not going to have any of that stuff, right? That's not going to be a thing. So none of that is really relevant. Also, bro, this Bard almost kills me. It's crazy. But anyways, none of that's really relevant. So what else do we have? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Is that all? Well, the boss thing, the summonable boss thing, which gives another craftable item. But anyways, like it's been a 4 month wipe, and if you look at the next wipe, which you have to do this, like this is something I think you have to do. It's like, is there 4 months worth of content, like or 4 months worth of development time going into the start of next wipe? I don't think so. I would disagree pretty heavily, and I think well, I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure the reason for this is because they're not like even working on next wipe for the most of the time. Most of the time, what they're doing is they're working on this wipe they're working on this wipe for like a large majority, and like the last like month they start working towards the next wipe, which is fundamentally bad. Like whenever you release a wipe, it should like you shouldn't have to add more and more content throughout the middle of that wipe to make it good for players. Like everything should be there at the beginning. And that's something they've always failed at. They never deliver on wipe day. They've literally never delivered, which has been very, very sad because like you start the wipe off and there's nothing, and then you have to like get everything else over the period of the wipe. Like you have to wait for them to add stuff. Which is why this wipe ended up being so long. If you guys remember, leaderboards didn't come out for a full like month and a half, and the leaderboards were the exact same as they were before, right? Literally, like bar for bar, there was nothing different about them at all.
which is kind of insane if you ask me. Like I don't understand how that even happens, but yeah, like they didn't add anything else this wipe whenever they did it. So the wipe ended up being 4 months long. And like I said, every single wipe, if you look, it's been wipe starts off with basically nothing. They add more stuff over the wipe. Next wipe starts off with basically nothing. They add stuff over the wipe. Even leaderboards, looking at the next wipe, even the leaderboards they've said aren't even going to be out until like halfway of the wipe. So we are potentially looking at playing this game with no leaderboards for 2 months. And to keep in mind, the leaderboards they're going to add, like the weekly leaderboards or whatever, are literally the same ones we used to have. So it is going to take them 2 months to implement this back into the game, which, once again, kind of just insane to me. And this is, like I said, this is the problem that they've done like so many times is they don't deliver. And eventually, players aren't going to keep coming back for this. Like, when you have a history of releasing nothing on the wipe, why are people going to keep coming back? Like, the start of the wipe is the most fun and the most entertaining for everybody, I think, right? Like, that is what you want to play for. You don't want to, like, oh, 2 months in, they added something cool. I'll go play now. You know why? It's because all the sweats and nerds that did play for 2 months has everything and it just feels painful to play now. It's like, yeah, you have PvE mode to get stuff, but, like, who wants to play PvE? Like I guess most I don't I mean I guess there's probably some people out there, but you know, people aren't joining in halfway through the wipe to try the new content, which is why like things like Arena have always been bad in my opinion. It's like whenever Arena first came out, it was like 2 months into the wipe. It was towards the end of the wipe. And it didn't really attract a lot of players because how it works, like you have to queue up, find gear, or even buy kits if you know if they have non like self found stuff available. But there's all of these things that make it so it's hard to get into the game for new players. And the game being hardcore is fine, but like hardcore and like hard to get into are fundamentally different. Like when I have to invest, you know, 100 hours to even like try to do something, like try to play this game like that, or try to like play your new content you're adding, like that's stupid, right? It's like I want to say it's almost like adding a DLC for a game that you have to like 100% to get access to the DLC, right? Like imagine they released like Call of Duty released like a new map pack, but to like play the map pack, you had to have like beat the campaign on like the hardest difficulty. And it's like, what? Right? Or like you had to have like the dark matter camo, like like something time consuming that takes a lot of hours. It's like no, like that's stupid. You don't do that. Like when you add new content, you make it like so people can get into it. Maybe not necessarily right away, but relatively easily. You don't make the new content hard to get into because then it's just oh I want to try this, but like it's not worth it because I'm not going to do 100 hours to try it, which is the same problem with multiclassing forever ago. And I'm not sure if you guys have realized it by now. There's a pattern here and like this is my shit. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, if you hate this game so much, why don't you quit playing it?" And it's like, no, bro, I love this game. Dark and Darker is literally my favorite games of all time. It's so like what it is so niche and so good. Also, watch this fighter and Bard. They are about to hold this. It's so good and so niche, and nobody else out there has done this. Keep in mind, if somebody was doing this better, like my like loyalty to Dark and Darker is flimsy at best. If there is someone out there that does it better than Dark and Darker, I will gladly go play that game instead. Which is what you saw at Dungeon Worn. Like I would trust me, I'm waiting. But anyways, um, like Dark and Darker has a pattern of just letting down their player base. Like I said, Multiclassing when that came out midway of the wipe, and you had to invest literally like that was bad. You had to have like a level 100 character like minimum. Which keep in mind they lowered XP that wipe, so level 100 or like level 100 probably took somewhere between 50 and 100 hours. Like it took like 5 to 10 to get to level 20. And then on top of that, and that was just the character you wanted stuff on. And then on top of that, you had to have several other characters level 30, which is another 5 to 10 hours. And then on top of that, you had to RNG roll your perks. And then if you didn't roll the ones you wanted, you had to wait for a week to re-roll them. So for a week, you were just playing with useless perks and skills while everybody else is playing with the OP, well, not everybody else, but the other people that got lucky played with the OP meta build, right? And it was bad too, because keep in mind, like let's say you wanted one, like if it were you were a spellcaster, like it was just terrible. But let's say you're a melee class, right? If you wanted one perk, like let's say you're rogue and you wanted weapon mastery off fighter, you had I guess it was like what? It was one, or it was three out of because you rolled three things. It was three out of like 18 chance to get it, so you had a 1 in 6 chance. And at max level, I believe you only got 12 tokens to roll. So if you were like, let's say, not even unlucky, right? Like if you were like evenly lucky, so you pulled it at odds of like 6 tries, uh, you pulled like normal odds at 6 tries, you would spend half of your tokens to get one perk. If you were a spellcaster, it was even harder because spellcasters also had every single spell in the pool that they could potentially pull from. So instead of being like a 3 out of 18, it was instead like a 3 out of 30, right? So your 1 in 6 goes to like a 1 in 10. And so then you are potentially using 10 of your, what's it called? It's like 10 of your tokens just to get one thing. So not only did you had to invest like 1 to 200 hours just to get access to multiclassing, you had to then get lucky enough to actually get the stuff you wanted. And yes, they did eventually change it. However, it took them another month to make it really accessible where you could constantly reroll. And literally what it was, like you would load up streams. I think it was Cam Soda. Cam Soda sat there on stream for like 8 hours, just reroll, 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 trying to roll like 10 or 11 things, um, because of how bad the odds were. And in the end, I don't ever think he actually got it, but it was just so bad. It was, wait, bro, what am I doing? Where's another game playing? Nice, there we go. And it was just so bad. And if they had started this out on wipe, it wouldn't have been quite as bad because at least okay, I'm working towards this. But no, they started it like a month into the wipe where if you wanted to then try to get it, you had to come back, start fresh, invest 200 hours into trying this and then play it. Like even players that had been playing like me, like I remember sitting there and having to re-roll like for 2 weeks in a row, like on because I even had a backup fighter in anticipation of being unlucky because I am, where I had to sit there and re-roll on 2 characters to try to like get a useful character that I could like play on and try to compete with people running OP meta stuff. Like it was completely cancer. Um. Anyways, I've been waffling for a while, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily done. But anyways, like this is the problem. It's like they have got to stop releasing content throughout a wipe, which sounds insane, right? Like it sounds like why would you say that? Like isn't that better? No, it's not. Because when they are working on stuff throughout the entire wipe up until like a month before, which they were, like you saw that from like the randomized dungeons and stuff, like in the fog of war and all that they're adding when they're doing all that, like I said, they don't have any time to put towards the next wipe. So the next wipe starts off lackluster. Like the start of your wipe is the big hurrah. It's the fireworks at the the end of a show. Like that's what everybody's there to see. That's what they're there and excited for and what they want to play. Also try to guess who that cleric was and he cooked me. GG. And when your wipe starts off and you really don't have much, it's not good. People are going to get a bad taste in their mouth and they're going to stop playing and they're not going to play until you release your content. That's the problem. No one is going to play this game for or not no one. No, non like sweat or not sweat, I guess is a bad word. No non-hardcore fan is going to play this game for a month and a half waiting on you guys to finally get your shit together and release the content. They're not going to do it. They are going to play at the beginning and be like, oh, this is the same game I played last wipe. Oh, it's the same game I played 2 wipes ago. Oh, it's the same game I played a year ago. Nothing's changed. And then you know what they're going to do? They're going to stop. And the time it takes between them starting and stopping gets shorter and shorter and shorter each time they come back and there's nothing for them and each time they come back and they don't have a reason to and they don't have anything new to do, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. They until they just eventually like, okay, why am I doing this? Like I'm just not going to play anymore because they're never going to do anything new, right? And you can make the argument of like, oh, well, like aren't they getting to experience all the old content? Like they quit before like the new stuff was added each wipe, so they can play it the next wipe. Like no, not really. Like because there's not a lot there, or for the most part, they always backtrack. They always change stuff. Like they add one thing and it's gone by the next. Multiclassing, they added it one wipe, it was gone by the next. I'm not saying that it's bad necessarily because I don't think multiclassing was good for the game, but that's what they do. They add it and then it's gone. They added randomized dungeons fog of war, then they removed it. Wait, did they remove it? I think they did. Maybe I'm just waffling on that one. I'm trying to think. Yeah, they removed it. They removed fog of war, so it's not there anymore. They add zone, probably gonna get removed next wipe. So like the stuff they add over it, it's not there by the time the next one. And even if it is, which is another problem, is it's just not good enough to keep people playing. Like you don't add content that makes people want to play. You add like mid stuff that's cool or novel for a short time and they're gone. Like adding those new mobs and these new craftable weapons, like that's cool. Craftable things, like especially craftable things, aren't relevant. Most people, like most of the time, it's like high rarity craftable stuff that you won't see for 2 weeks, or like like 2 or 3 weeks, and or I say 2 or 3 weeks, on it like 2 or 3 months, really. Especially with in-game craftables, like you will not see those until like the end of the wipe, which most people aren't playing for by then. Or like the new mobs, like you go down, you see them one time, it's like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm not playing this game to go kill a new mini boss they added, or it's like some new random enemy they added, right? Like I don't think many people are. Like, if you are, you're kind of a psycho for that. So they just got to do more. Like that's what it ends up being. It's like they just have to do more. If they don't, then I think this game is gonna die. I do. I'll say I think it's like kind of been like in a lot, like the back of a lot of people's minds. Like if you look at Twitch numbers, you look at player numbers, like people aren't playing the game, people aren't watching the game, and there's obviously reasons for that. It's just not very good right now. And the numbers have been going down and down and down, like over and over and over. It's not anything new. This isn't surprising because they're just not doing enough. And this brings me all the way back to my original point of for a long time, they had the excuse of the court case. They don't anymore. This upcoming wipe and the one after that, I think if they do not do something like not necessarily huge but impactful that makes people want to play the game, I think this game is probably going to be on like a point of no return. Because I talked this a lot before, but the Steam release was always kind of like their trap card, right? Like it was like the big it was pulling the rabbit out of the hat. It was their magic trick of like, okay, everything that happens, it's fine. We can like whenever Steam release comes, we get a big influx of players. Not a thing anymore. That's no longer a thing, right? The Steam release has already happened. It was actually removed off of Epic, which is like another loss of players. But the Steam release has already happened, so they're not ever going to get another huge influx of players. I don't think so. Like the game's been revealed, it's been out for a while. Pretty much everyone that's going to know about Dark and Darker knows about it. So the only thing you can do is you can try to bring people back to the game that have quit it. That's really the only thing. And they're just not doing a very good job of that, I don't think. I think it's been incredibly lackluster. And I'm like, I want it to be better. I really do. Because like I said, I really like this game. But at the end of the day, I just don't know if they can do it, right? I think I've seen a lot of people say it. Um, I almost killed this guy, but it died to flame walker. It's sad. I've seen a lot of people say it, and they think they kind of just like hope they sell the game to like a bigger company. And so honestly, I think that would probably be for the best. It's like I think the framework they developed for Darker Darker is one of the best things out there. I think this game's idea and the concept and the beginning execution is just amazing. It's so fun. But I think the actual execution as far as how like developing the game and everything, I just don't think they have this experience to do it. I don't think that their team is capable of making it successful, whether that's because they don't have enough people, they don't have enough funds, they just fundamentally don't know what they're doing, whatever. But I think they've shown time and time again because like I said, you don't really have the excuse anymore. They've used it many times. They don't really have the excuse anymore of oh, it's just whatever. It's just it's the indie devs. They're figuring it out. The teams getting used to each other. That type of stuff. I don't really think you have that excuse anymore. And even if you say you do, people don't really care. People want a fun game. Like at the end of the day, you've got to do your job, right? Like it doesn't matter what excuses you make. You just have to go through it and you have to do your job and you have to make a fun game. Otherwise, the people are going to stop playing and the game's going to die. No one cares that your team's getting used to each other. No one cares that you're going through a court case. No one's even like, "Oh, well, I understand. So I will play this unfun game while I'm waiting while you guys are getting your shit together." No. People are going to go find a new game and they're going to forget about Dark and Darker. And it doesn't have any more big releases. Nobody else is getting no one else is coming back to this game. How it works. But anyways, I think I've yapped for long enough. So honestly, I don't even remember the bro. Like I said, at the start of this video was talking about PvE mode, and I like barely talked about it at all. It's kind of funny, isn't it? But all right, appreciate you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace, peace.